The most important ideas in philosophy.
Okay, before we start, this isn't really the kind of thing you have to sit and stare at. Put it on while you work, while you study. Let it run in the background and just let these settle somewhere in the back of your mind. Because what I'm about to walk you through is more or less the most important things anyone has ever worked out about being alive. And here's the strange part. Almost all of them, they're answers to the same question, the same one over and over for 2,500 years, which is roughly, what are you supposed to do when nobody hands you the instructions? Because nobody does. That's the thing. You showed up in the middle of this. No manual, no reason printed on the inside of your wrist, no voice coming down from the sky to explain why you, why here, why any of it. And every single person we're about to meet looked straight into that silence and tried to build something you could actually stand on. Some of them found something like peace. Most of them, no. Most of them didn't. But all of them saw something true. And that's what we're here for. We're going to start somewhere comfortable. A cave, actually. And then slowly we're going to climb out of it. I'll be honest with you, it gets darker before it gets lighter. That's not a warning, that's kind of the point. So, get comfortable, or don't, and let's go all the way down. Let's start in the cave. Picture this. There's a group of people, and they've been chained up inside a cave since the day they were born. Chained so they can only face one direction, forward at a blank stone wall. They can't turn their heads. They never have. They don't even know turning your head is a thing a head can do. Behind them, up a little, there's a fire. And between the fire and the prisoners, there's a low path, and people walk along it carrying things, shapes, carved objects. And the fire throws the shadows of those objects onto the wall in front of the prisoners. So that's what they see. Shadows. Their entire lives. Moving shapes on a wall. And this is the part that matters, so stay with me. They don't know the shadows are shadows. How could they? They've never seen anything else. To them, the shadows aren't a copy of something real. They are the real thing. That flat, flickering wall, that's the whole world. That's everything there is. So they do what people do. They give the shadows names. They get good at guessing which shape comes next. They argue about it. Somebody becomes the wisest person in the cave because he's the best at predicting the shadows. They build a whole little society down there with experts and opinions and status, all of it resting on reflections of things they've never actually seen. Now, here's where Plato turns the knife. Imagine somebody unchains one of them, just one, and he turns around for the first time. What do you think happens? Some beautiful moment of enlightenment? No. His eyes scream. The firelight, after a lifetime of dimness, it burns. He's confused, in pain, and Plato was very specific about this. He's angry because he can sort of half see the objects now, the real ones, and they don't make sense to him. And a voice in his head is going, "What is this? I was fine. I was happy looking at my wall. Take me back." That's the first thing nobody tells you about waking up. The first feeling isn't gratitude, it's rage. But it gets worse. Say somebody drags him, and it has to be dragging, he wouldn't go willingly, drags him up out of the cave entirely, out into the open. Sunlight, full sunlight on a face that has never seen the sun. He's blind, completely. He'd give anything to crawl back into the dark where things made sense. But slowly his eyes adjust, and he starts to see. Real trees, the real sky, real people, not shadows of people. He sees the actual world for the first time, and he understands all at once that everything he ever believed was a shape on a wall. And then, and this is the part that should put a small cold weight in your stomach, he goes back. He climbs back down into the cave to tell the others, because of course he does. You would too. You'd think they have to know.
They're sitting in the dark and there's a whole world out here. So he tells them, guys, the shadows aren't real. There's a sun, there's a sky, you have to come see. And they laugh at him.
They tell him he's lost his mind. They say he went up there and ruined his eyes and now he's babbling. And here's the chilling line from Plato. He says if the prisoners could get their hands on whoever keeps dragging people out of the cave, they would kill him. They'd kill him. Because nobody forgives you for threatening the only reality they have, especially when they're comfortable in it. And Plato wasn't being dramatic, by the way. His own teacher, Socrates, the man who taught him to question everything, was literally executed, put to death by the city, for basically asking too many inconvenient questions. So when Plato writes that the people in the cave would kill the one who came back, he's not speculating. He watched it happen. Now here's why this still matters 2,500 years later, and why it's probably about you. Plato wasn't writing science fiction. The cave is your bubble. The shadows are the beliefs you inherited and never once examined. The fire throwing the shapes, that's the feed that only shows you what you already agree with. It's the channel you watch because it's the only one that tells the truth. It's your family, it's the algorithm, it's anything that hands you a comfortable, distorted picture of the world and quietly convinces you it's the only one. You think you came to your opinions yourself? Be honest, how many of them did you actually arrive at, and how many did you just absorb because you happened to be born in this country, in this family, in this particular bubble? If you've been born somewhere completely different, a different place, a different century, would you believe the same things you'd go to war defending right now? You know you wouldn't. And yet here you are defending shadows that were handed to you by people you never met. And the shadows aren't just your politics, they're deeper than that. The degree you were told would make you happy, the body you were told you had to have, the version of success you were told to chase, the life script you never once stopped to ask whether you actually wanted. Shadows, all of it, shapes on a wall that somebody else was holding up. So Plato leaves you with a question, and it's not a comfortable one. If somebody unchained you right now, would you even want to leave? Be honest, because it's warm in the cave. You know the shadows, you know their names, you know how to feel about them. Out there it's cold and uncertain, and out there you'd have to admit you were wrong about a lot. Out there hurts. And it's worth sitting in just how comfortable the cave really is, because that comfort is the whole trap. Think of the person who watches one channel all day, every day, because it's the only one that tells the truth. He doesn't know he's staring at a wall. Think of the person who never left the town they were born in and is completely certain the people from here are simply better than the people from anywhere else. Shadows. Think of the relative at dinner who has hard, finished, unshakable opinions about the economy, foreign policy, medicine, all of it, and has never read a single book on any of those subjects in his life. Shadows. All of it. And none of these people are stupid. That's the part that matters. They're comfortable, because the cave gives you something genuinely precious, certainty. You always know what to think, because the thinking was done for you a long time ago by the people holding up the shapes. Stepping out means trading that warm certainty for cold, open-ended doubt. It means saying, I don't actually know far more often than I'm sure. And most people would honestly rather be confidently wrong, surrounded by others who are confidently wrong in the same direction, than stand alone in the painful light, unsure, exposed, but finally seeing. The chains, it turns out, were never really the problem. People love the chains. The chains are where the certainty lives. And even if you claw your way out and see the sun, you already know how it ends. You can't bring anyone with you. Try explaining something you can finally see to someone who's still chained. They'll look at you the way the prisoners looked at the man who came back. Pity at first, then something colder, because you're threatening their wall. But here's the thing that makes it worth it anyway. Once you've seen the sun, even if it burns, even if it costs you every friend you had down there, you can't unsee it. You don't get to believe the shadows again, not really, not with the same easy faith.
ignorance stops being an option. And that, not freedom to do whatever you want, that's a different thing, but the freedom to see the world as it actually is, without the filter, without the comforting chains, that might be the closest thing to real freedom we get. Plato doesn't promise you will be happy out there. He's very clear about that. He doesn't promise happiness, he promises reality. And if you take the deal, your life is never the same, because you'll spend the rest of it watching almost everyone you know still chained to the wall, still arguing about shadows, still completely certain that the cave is all there is. And you'll understand the brutal part of the whole thing. Most people prefer the cave. They always have. They always will. The question was never whether the chains were real. The question was always whether you'd have the nerve to drop them once you realized you could. Now, let's go from the man who couldn't leave the cave to the man who had the whole world and figured out it was a kind of cave too. Marcus Aurelius.
Imagine being the most powerful human being alive. You run the largest empire the world has ever seen. You've got armies, palaces, more wealth than the richest person you can think of today would look like a beggar next to you. Anything you want, you have. Anyone who annoys you, you can have removed from existence. To millions of people, you are, more or less, a living god. And you wake up in the morning, and you take out a private journal, and you write a note to yourself. And the note says, and I'm paraphrasing but barely, "Today I'm going to meet people who are ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and that's fine, because I can't control what they do. The only thing I can control is how I respond." That was Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, a Stoic, and probably the single most clear-headed human being who has ever held absolute power without it rotting him from the inside. And the irony, when you sit with it, is almost too much. The one man on earth who could control everything spent his quiet hours reminding himself that he controlled almost nothing. Meanwhile, you, and I mean you and me and all of us, we've got maybe 1,000th of his power, and we come completely apart because somebody cut us off in traffic, or a message didn't get answered, or it rained on the one day we'd planned something. Marcus held a collapsing empire together while a plague, a real one, the Antonine Plague, tore through it and killed, by some counts, millions, and he stayed level. You and I, we lose the entire plot because the Wi-Fi drops in a meeting. I'm not even joking. That's the gap. That's the whole gap right there. Now, and this is where everybody gets Stoicism wrong, so let me be careful. Stoicism is not about killing your feelings. It's not about becoming some cold, blank robot who doesn't care about anything. That's the shallow version, the gym bro version, and it's wrong. It's wrong because it's easier to repeat than the real thing. The real thing is simple and brutal. It's this: almost everything that happens to you in your life is completely outside your control. And the one thing, the only thing you actually control is how you respond to it. That's it. That's the whole foundation. There's no soft stuff here, no good vibes, no manifest your dreams, just cold, flat reality. Bad things are going to happen. People are going to let you down. Plans are going to fall apart. And you can scream about it as much as you want. The facts don't move. Marcus called this the dichotomy of control. 2 boxes. In one box, the things that depend on you. Your choices, your actions, your judgments, the way you respond. In the other box, everything else. The traffic, the weather, the economy, the past, which you can't change, the future, which you can't predict, what other people think of you, whether that person texts you back. None of it is in your hands. And yet, be honest, how many hours a day do you burn worrying about things in the second box? As if worrying were a tool that did anything. As if it ever changed a single outcome. It doesn't. It never has. Here, picture the most ordinary version of it. You're stuck in traffic. Something important in 20 minutes. The cars are not moving. And you've got 2 options, really.
Option 1, you hit the wheel, you curse, your blood pressure climbs, you arrive already wrecked and furious and still late, because none of that moved a single car. Option 2, you accept that the traffic is simply not in your hands. You message ahead, you put something to listen to, you breathe, and you arrive late but intact, whole. In both versions, you arrive at exactly the same time. The traffic did not care which one you picked. The only difference is that in one of them, you chose to suffer on top of being late, a little extra misery you charged yourself for nothing. That's the dichotomy of control. In a single traffic jam, the cars aren't yours, your reaction is. And almost all of the misery of an ordinary day lives right there, in that gap, in the energy we pour into raging at the part that was never ours to move. And here's the line that should sting a little. Most of your suffering is something you're doing to yourself. It isn't the situation that wrecks you, it's the story you tell yourself about the situation. It rained on your wedding. The rain isn't the problem. The problem is the perfect sunny day you'd built in your head, and now you're holding reality up against a fantasy and calling the gap a tragedy. The rain isn't conspiring against you. The rain is just, falling. You're the one who decided it meant something. Another Stoic, Epicurus, who, by the way, was born a slave before he became a philosopher, so he knew something about not controlling his circumstances, put it as plainly as it can be put. It's not things that disturb us, it's our judgments about things. You are, in a very real way, building your own private hell out of nothing but your interpretations. And interpretations, those you can change. Here's something almost nobody knows about Marcus. That journal, the Meditations it's called now, he never meant for anyone to read it. He wasn't writing a book, he was writing reminders to himself, in the middle of war, in the middle of betrayal, while the empire cracked around him. Those pages are a powerful man, alone, trying to hold his own mind together. And one of the things he wrote was, "The obstacle in the path becomes the path. What stands in the way becomes the way." He wasn't theorizing in a comfortable room. He was surrounded by impossible problems and choosing, on purpose, to treat each one as a chance to practice being the kind of person he wanted to be.
And the thing the Stoics cared most, virtue, that's the last piece, and people miss it too. Virtue to them didn't mean being nice. It meant excellence of character, courage, justice, wisdom, self-control. They believed it was the only thing that genuinely mattered because it was the only thing nobody could ever take from you. They can take your money, your health, your freedom, the people you love, but they cannot take your choice to act with integrity. Seneca, another Stoic, rich as anything, was ordered by the Emperor Nero to kill himself. He could have begged, could have bargained. Instead, he opened his own veins, calmly, talking with his friends about philosophy while he bled out. That's the extreme version, controlling the one thing left when everything else has been ripped away. And you don't need an emperor or a forced suicide to use any of this. You need a difficult boss. You can't control his moods, but you can control whether you let them poison your whole evening. You need a toxic relative. You can't control what he says, but you can control whether you take the bait every single time, or set a quiet limit and hold it. You need a hard diagnosis. You can't control the illness, but you can control how you meet it, how you carry yourself, how you choose to live in spite of it. That's not some soft, sugary positivity. It's the most pragmatic thing there is. You spend your strength on the one small square of ground that's actually yours, and you stop bleeding it out into the vast territory that was never yours to hold. And Marcus had this practice, premeditatio malorum, they called it. You sit in the morning and you picture everything that could go wrong. Sounds like pessimism. It isn't. It's preparation. If you've already imagined the worst and already accepted that you could survive it, what's left to ambush you? He woke up expecting difficult people, an unfair day, things going sideways. So when they did, and they always do, he wasn't shattered. He'd already made his peace with the possibility. Compare that to the way most of us wake up, quietly expecting the day to be fair, expecting people to be reasonable, expecting it all to go to plan. And then when it doesn't, because it never does, we feel betrayed by life itself.
So here's the Stoic lesson nobody wants but everyone needs to hear. Stop waiting for life to be fair. Stop expecting people to be reasonable. Stop expecting to control anything beyond your own thoughts and your own actions. The universe doesn't owe you. People don't owe you. Life is not a contract where you do your part and collect what you're owed. It's chaos, and the only sanity available inside the chaos is to act well in the small space you actually control and let the rest go. Marcus ran a dying empire, buried people he loved, watched a plague do what plagues do, and he died knowing he'd done the best he could with what he was given. Can you say that about your Monday? So Marcus learned to need almost nothing from the world outside him, which, funnily enough, is exactly where the next one starts, except this one figured it out from the opposite end, not from a throne, from a garden. Epicurus. When you hear the word hedonism, you picture what? Excess, probably. Some idiot in a mansion pouring $1,000 champagne over himself while the party goes on around him. You picture appetite with no brakes, living for the moment, consequences be damned. And that's exactly why almost nobody understands what hedonism actually was. Because Epicurus, the man who basically invented the philosophy around 300 years before Christ, he lived in a small place, eating mostly bread and water for most of his life. He said the greatest pleasure available to a human being was sitting with your friends and talking in a garden. That's it. No excess, no spectacle, just peace. And that completely scrambles what people think they know, because Epicurus did say the goal of life is to maximize pleasure and minimize pain. He really did say that. Sounds simple, sounds obvious, but here's the catch. The pleasure he meant is not the pleasure you're thinking of. He wasn't talking about the quick hit, the instant gratification, stuffing every empty second with another stimulus. He was talking about something he called ataraxia, tranquility, the absence of disturbance, that deep, quiet kind of okay you feel when you don't need anything, you don't want anything, nothing's gnawing at you. That, he said, that's the real thing. Which is, you'll notice, the exact opposite of what the modern world sells you as pleasure.
Think about the guy who spends the whole weekend drinking too much, sleeping with someone he barely knows, buying things he doesn't need, posting all of it to prove he's having the time of his life. Monday comes and he's empty, hungover, a little broke, and already planning the next weekend because he needs the next escape from the hole the last one left. That guy thinks he's a hedonist. Epicurus would say he's got it completely backwards. Pleasure that's followed by pains isn't pleasure. It's just self-sabotage with a nice filter on it. Epicurus split pleasure into two kinds. There's the moving kind, the pleasure you feel while you're satisfying a desire. You're starving, you bite into the food, that explosion of taste. That's real, but it lasts seconds. You chew, you swallow, it's over. And then there's the still kind. You're not hungry anymore. Your body's just content, no need pulling at you. You can sit and exist and want for nothing. That second one, the stillness, not the spike, that, to Epicurus, is the higher pleasure. Not the orgasm, but the peace afterward. Not the purchase, but the not needing to buy. And here's the problem he'd point at if he were standing here today. The entire modern world is engineered to keep you in the first kind and never ever let you reach the second. Because the second one, contentment, a content person doesn't buy anything. So you get the new phone, you feel the spark for 2 weeks, and then the next model drops and you're restless again. You fall in love, it's electric, and then it settles into something calm and you panic. You think the spark died because you confuse love with adrenaline. You get the raise, you're thrilled for a month, then it's just your salary and you want the next one. The treadmill. You run and run and run after pleasure, and you never arrive at peace. Because peace doesn't sell. Tranquility doesn't make anybody money. Your quiet contentment is bad for business. Epicurus saw all of this 2,300 years ago. He looked at the Greeks chasing fame and power and money, and he thought, these people are never going to be okay. So he left.
bought a bit of land outside Athens, started a little community he just called the Garden, and invited his friends to come live simply with him. No luxury, plain food, long conversations, and by every account, he was happy. Genuinely. While kings died bitter with everything, this man died at peace with almost nothing. But don't romanticize it too far. He wasn't an ascetic. He didn't think you should suffer on purpose or refuse every pleasure. If someone hands you good wine, drink it. If the food's delicious, eat. The point was never denial. The point was, don't become a slave to it. Because the more you need external things to feel okay, the more fragile you are. Anyone can take them from you. The simpler your pleasures, the more stable your happiness. He wrote somewhere that he could be happy on bread and water, and that he spat on the pleasures of luxury, not because of the pleasures themselves, but because of the trouble that comes after them, the dependency. Because once you get used to the feast, bread stops being enough. Once you get used to the luxury car, a normal one feels like an insult. Once you get used to constant attention, silence becomes unbearable. You build the dependencies yourself, and every one of them is a new way to be hurt. He was also, and almost nobody mentions this, completely obsessed with friendship. He thought it was the highest pleasure there was. Not sex, not food, not achievement, friendship. Having people beside you that you can be completely yourself with, who want nothing from you. He said it wasn't even so much the help your friends give you, it was the confidence that they'd be there if you needed them. Just knowing. That alone is enough to bring peace. So be honest about yours. How many of your friendships are real in that sense? How many are just numbers on a screen, people you've never actually sat with? How many are built on convenience, coworkers you tolerate, faces you nod at? You can have hundreds of people who would like your post, and not one you could call at 3 a.m. when the floor falls out of your life. Epicurus would feel a kind of grief for you over that, because you traded depth for quantity, without even noticing you were trading. There's another thing he taught that sounds almost cowardly until you actually sit with it. Stay out of politics. Don't chase power. Don't try to run the world. Live quietly in your corner with the people you love. And look, I know that cuts against everything you've been told about making a difference and leaving a legacy. But be honest for a second. How much of your stress comes from trying to control things that were never in your control? How many nights of sleep have you lost over an election, an economy, a war on the other side of the planet, things you have exactly zero power over? And still you consume the news, you argue online, you get furious, you grind yourself down for what? Is it making you happier? Is it changing a single thing? Epicurus would say, turn it off. Stop consuming other people's tragedies as entertainment. Live hidden. That was close to his motto. Not because he was a coward, because he understood that the more exposed you are, the more you depend on the crowd to feel okay. And the crowd is the most unstable thing there is.
And he'd put the whole philosophy to you in one image. Picture the person who needs the 5-star hotel breakfast to feel good about their morning. Now picture the person who feels genuine, quiet gratitude for a piece of bread and butter. Which one is free? The first one needs money and machinery just to maintain their happiness. The second needs almost nothing, so almost nothing can take it from them. Epicurus was playing a completely different game than everyone around him. While they piled up the things that could be lost, he quietly arranged a life with nothing in it the world could reach in and steal. And one more thing from him, the one that frees people the most, I think. Death. Epicurus said, death is nothing to us. Watch the logic because it's airtight. While you're alive, death isn't here. And when death is here, you're not. The two of you never actually meet. You will never experience being dead. So why spend your one life terrified of a thing you will, by definition, never be present for? Fearing death, he said, is as silly as being upset about all the time that passed before you were born. You didn't suffer then, you won't suffer after. It's just non-existence. And non-existence doesn't hurt. Which means the real waste isn't dying. The real waste is spending the time you do have flinching at a thing that was never going to hurt the way you imagined.
Epicurus would say, stop, you're going to die. Accept it. And then, since you're going to die anyway, live so well, so simply, so fully, that if it came tomorrow, it wouldn't be a tragedy, just an interruption of something that was already good. That's the part that breaks the modern brain. He didn't think you should chase the most pleasure possible. He thought you should chase the absence of pain. They're not the same. Chasing maximum pleasure leads you straight to excess, dependency, the whole. Removing pain leads to simplicity, to needing little, to peace. And peace beats any spike you can imagine, because peace lasts. The spike never does. So when you see a billionaire with the mansion and the jet and the yacht who's still somehow miserable on 3 medications, in therapy 3 times a week, and then you think of Epicurus in his little garden, content with bread and a conversation, ask yourself honestly, which of them understood the game? Real hedonism was never about having everything. It was about needing so little that nothing could take your happiness away. Now, hold on to that idea that wanting is the trap, because the next man took it and pushed it somewhere much, much darker. Epicurus thought you could escape the wanting by needing less. The next one didn't think you could escape it at all. Schopenhauer. Here's his claim, and it's one of the bleakest things anyone ever said out loud, so brace a little. He said that underneath all your plans, your goals, your nice little reasons for the things you do, there's a blind, mindless, bottomless force that just wants. It doesn't want anything in particular, it just wants. He called it the will. And, this is the part that gets you, he said it isn't something you have, it's something you are. You think you're a person who happens to have desires. Schopenhauer says, no, you're a desire that grew a face. And if that's true, then sit with what follows. If the wanting is the real you, then it can never be satisfied, because a thing can't satisfy itself out of existence. The wanting doesn't want to be fed. The wanting wants to keep wanting. That's its whole nature. And you've spent your entire life trying to feed something whose only goal is to stay hungry. Watch how it actually works, because you've lived this, you just never named it. Think of the last thing you really, badly wanted. You were sure it would change how you felt, and maybe you got it. And if you're honest, the having was nothing next to the wanting. There was a spike, a short, bright spike, and then, faster than you'd ever admit out loud, it became normal. The new thing became just a thing. The achievement became just your life. And the wanting, barely pausing for breath, moved on to the next thing. Schopenhauer explained exactly why, and it's the key to all of it. He said pleasure isn't a real positive thing. It's just the brief absence of a pain. When you want something, you're in a state of lack, and lack hurts. When you get it, the hurt stops for a second, and you call that stopping happiness. But it isn't happiness, it's just the silence after a noise. And silence can't be enjoyed for long, because the mind stops noticing it almost instantly. That's why you only ever really feel what's missing. The toothache you feel, the 1,000 teeth that don't hurt, nothing. You feel nothing about them. Everything that's going right is invisible. The one thing that's wrong fills the whole sky.
Modern psychology actually proved him right a couple of hundred years later and gave it a clinical name, the hedonic treadmill. They tracked people through the best things that can happen to a human life, marriages, promotions, big windfalls of money, and watched the same thing happen every single time. A spike, a real one, and then within about a year, sometimes less, the person drifted right back down to roughly the baseline they had before. The floor crept back up and quietly swallowed the win. They even studied people who won the lottery, the literal fantasy, the thing half the world plays for. And not only did the winners settle back toward their old baseline, a lot of them reported that the small pleasures of ordinary life, the cup of coffee, the quiet evening, gave them less joy than before. The enormous high had recalibrated them. Normal good things stopped registering, so they paid for the spike with their ability to enjoy anything smaller than a spike. Which is the trap drawn exactly the way Schopenhauer drew it. The thing you're sure will finally fix the feeling doesn't fix the feeling, and on its way out, the door raises the price of every feeling that comes after it. So you need a bigger one next time, and a bigger one after that. The hunger grows by being fed.
So your life, he said, swings like a pendulum back and forth between two kinds of suffering, pain and boredom. When you don't have what you want, you strain toward it. That's the pain. Then you get it, the wanting goes quiet, and almost immediately you hit the other end, boredom, the flat, restless emptiness of having nothing left to chase. And boredom's so unbearable that you'll invent a brand new desire just to escape it, just so you've got something to strain toward again. Back and forth, pain to boredom to pain again. And that thin little sliver in the middle, the blur as the pendulum passes through the center, that's the only thing we ever get to call happiness. A blur, a passing through, never a place you get to stand. And watch the cruel little mechanism that keeps you swinging. When you're straining towards something, deep in the wanting, you were at least not bored. The chase gives your life a shape, a direction, a reason to get up in the morning. So people quietly become addicted to the wanting itself, because the wanting holds the emptiness at bay. They don't actually want the goal, they want the not being empty that comes from chasing it. Which is exactly why so many people who finally get everything they dreamed of are quietly miserable, and so many people still climbing feel strangely, painfully alive. It was never that arriving is bad and climbing is good. It's that climbing keeps the pendulum away from the boredom wall, and arriving drops you straight into it. You felt this and never named it. The flat letdown after the thing you worked years for, the hollow feeling on the holiday you saved a year for. That's the pendulum hitting the far side right on schedule, the instant the wanting runs dry. And notice the longest trick the will plays. It keeps the good part in the future, always. You'll be happy when you finish, when you pay it off, when you make it, when you meet them. You keep handing over the only thing you actually own, which is now, this exact moment, to buy a future that, the second it arrives, just turns into another now that's already pointing at the next future. You spend your whole life in the hallway, certain the room is up ahead. The hallway was the room. There was never anything but hallway. And here's the bottom of it, the deepest cut. You're not even the one doing the wanting. Schopenhauer said you can do what you want, but you cannot want what you want. Think about that. Yes, you can chase your desire, but the desire itself, did you choose it? Did you sit down and decide what to crave? No, it arrived. It was already running before you showed up to take credit for it. You feel like the author of your life, but run the tape back on any big decision and watch how the wanting came first, in the dark, in the gut, and your clever mind just trailed behind it writing down reasons. So who's been paying the bill all these years? Not the calm, rational you. That one's mostly a narrator. The one paying is the old, blind hunger spending your life on its endless errands and calling it yours. There's no winning, is the thing. You can't satisfy your way out, because the one doing the wanting is the one collecting the payment. And Schopenhauer was too honest to sell you the soft exit. He didn't say, just want less and you'll be at peace, because he knew you can't decide to stop wanting any more than you can decide to stop your own heartbeat. The most he offered was that there are rare moments when the wanting goes quiet on its own, when you're lost in something beautiful and you forget yourself for a second and just stop being a thing that wants and just become a thing that sees. The pendulum stops, not because you got what you wanted, because for a heartbeat, you wanted nothing at all. That's the whole offer. Not a cure, just a clear look at the machine and the occasional accidental silence inside it.
So Schopenhauer hands you a universe where the wanting never ends and nothing finally satisfies. Bleak, genuinely bleak. And the next man? The next man stared into that exact same void and tried desperately to find a way to live inside it without lying to himself. People think he's the cynic, he's the opposite. He was trying to save us. And, spoiler, we mostly didn't listen. Nietzsche. God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him. That's probably the most famous line he ever wrote, and it's almost always misunderstood. People quote it like it's some smug little victory lap for atheism. It is not. Nietzsche wasn't celebrating. He was sounding an alarm. He was standing there, horrified, saying,
People, we've just torn out the foundation under everything we believe, and you're up here dancing on the rubble, and you don't realize the floor's about to give way. He didn't mean it literally, the death of God. He meant it the way you'd mean it about a civilization. For thousands of years, humanity had an answer to the big question, why are we here? What's it all for? The answer was God, or the divine, or some higher order that gave the whole thing meaning. You suffered, but the suffering had a point. You died, but you went somewhere. You behaved because the rules came from above, from an authority you couldn't argue with. And then, the Enlightenment, science, reason, and slowly, carefully, almost by accident, humanity took that foundation apart, not out of malice, just because the evidence stopped adding up. And here's the piece people skip right past. Science came along and explained how everything works, the atoms, the cells, the slow grinding machinery of evolution. But science, by its very nature, cannot tell you why you should care about any of it. It tells you how the universe runs. It is dead silent on what it's for, or on what you should do with a Tuesday afternoon when the meaning has drained out of everything. Religion used to answer that question. Science replaced religion's facts and left its question wide open, bleeding. And Nietzsche saw that no civilization could stand for long in that gap, knowing precisely how everything works and having no idea why any of it matters. That's the void he was pointing at. Not a shortage of information. We have more information than any humans who have ever lived. A shortage of reasons. We're drowning in how and starving for why. And when you pull God out of the equation, Nietzsche asked, what's left? And his answer was the terrifying one. Nothing. A vacuum. He called it nihilism, from the Latin for nothing. The belief that life has no built-in meaning, no objective purpose, no values written into the structure of things, that it's all arbitrary. And you might think, well, isn't that freeing? Nietzsche thought it was terrifying. Because once you pull the floor out, once you take away the anchor of meaning, what stops anyone from doing anything? If there's no objective right or wrong, no final judgment, if we all rot the same in the end, why be good? Why not lie, take, hurt, betray? Don't tell him because it's the right thing to do. Right according to who? Based on what? If there's no absolute truth, then your morality is just a preference. You like kindness, somebody else likes cruelty. In a truly empty universe, neither of you is objectively correct, because there is no correct. And Nietzsche saw how fast that slides somewhere very dark. He saw it coming 100 years early. So look around. Look at the people you know. How many are living with this low, constant hum of nothing really matters, just passing the time, filling the void with shows, with scrolling, with buying things, with anything that keeps them from looking straight at the emptiness, working jobs that mean nothing to them on autopilot because, well, what else is there? Nietzsche had a name for that creature, the last man, the human being who's given up on anything higher, doesn't want greatness, doesn't want struggle, just wants comfort and safety and a little pleasure and to be left alone. Wakes up, works, watches something, sleeps, repeats. And the worst part, the last man is happy, or he's convinced himself he is. He doesn't question it because questioning hurts, and it's so much easier to settle into the comfortable nothing and call it contentment. But here's what everybody misses about Nietzsche. He did not want you to become a nihilist. He wanted you to get through nihilism, to cross it. It's not the end of the road. It's a valley you have to walk through after God dies, before you find a new way to make meaning. And how do you cross it? You build your own values. He called it the revaluation of all values. If there's no God left to tell you what's good, then you have to decide. You have to become your own lawmaker.
And that's where the Übermensch comes in. The Overman, the Superman, and no, before anyone gets nervous, it has nothing to do with the grotesque thing the Nazis turned it into. They twisted him so badly he's probably still spinning. The Übermensch is just the person who accepts that there's no meaning handed down from above, and instead of collapsing, creates it. Doesn't need a god to be good, chooses to be good because they've decided that's the kind of person worth being.
doesn't follow the old rules out of fear of hell, builds their own code out of something like excellence, authenticity, honesty. Think of an artist. He knows the universe doesn't care whether he paints, and he paints anyway because he decided it matters to him. He made meaning where there wasn't any. That's the will to power, by the way. Another one everybody gets wrong. It's not about dominating other people. It's about mastering yourself, becoming who you actually are, pressing your own shape onto the chaos and making something out of it. Now, compare that to the average life. Goes to the thing because that's what you do, takes the job to pay the bills, marries because it's the age, has kids because it's the next step, and never once stops to ask, do I want this? Does this mean anything to me? Or am I just following a script somebody handed me and called mandatory? Nietzsche would say that person is a kind of slave, not in chains, in something worse, enslaved to the herd, to expectations, to what everyone will think. They never became who they are because they never had the nerve to question who they were told to be. And he understood why. Questioning everything is exhausting, it's terrifying. It's so much easier to take the ready-made values in the pre-written life. But he also said, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. If you don't have a why, a real one you actually chose, then the first real storm capsizes you because you've got no anchor, you're adrift, and the first wave takes you under. He had this idea, amor fati, love of fate, the notion that you should love your life exactly as it is, all of it, the suffering, the mistakes, the losses, not in spite of them, because they made you. His own life was brutal. Crushing headaches for most of it, eyesight failing, almost completely alone, and at the end his mind broke entirely. And this is the man who wrote that his formula for greatness was to want nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not for all eternity, not just to endure what's necessary, but to love it. Could you do that? Look at your life, every regret, every loss, every stupid thing, and say, I wouldn't change a single piece of it? Most people can't. Most people live half in the past and half in some better imagined future. Anywhere but here, anywhere but now. And that, Nietzsche would say, is nihilism wearing a different mask, refusing the one life you actually have because it doesn't match the fantasy. And then his hardest test of all, the eternal recurrence. Imagine a demon comes to you in your loneliest hour and says, you will live this life again, exactly the same, every detail, every pain, every embarrassment, every dull afternoon, infinite times, forever. And your reaction to that, your gut reaction, tells you everything about how you're living. If the thought crushes you, fills you with dread, then you're living a life you don't actually want. But if you could look at that demon and say, yes, again, all of it, then you've done it. You've made enough meaning to make it worth repeating forever. Nietzsche died alone, half mad, mostly unknown. He spent his life in the exact void he was warning everyone about, and he never stopped writing, never stopped trying to build a way out for people he'd never meet. That, right there, is the opposite of nihilism. That's looking into the abyss and deciding to make something beautiful anyway. And it's the whole of what he was asking of you, not to become a nihilist, to pass through it, to accept that nothing has built-in meaning, and then, precisely because of that, to choose what matters and treat it as sacred. Because if nothing matters cosmically, then everything you decide matters personally becomes the only sacred thing there is. Which leads, almost too neatly, to the next one. Because if you're the one who has to create meaning, who has to choose, then every second of your life is a choice you can't escape. And one Frenchman in a cafe turned that idea into the most exhausting freedom ever described. Sartre.
He was sitting in a cafe in Paris, where else would a French philosopher be, and he had one of the worst realizations a human can have. You are free. Completely, totally, inescapably free. And that is not good news. It's terrifying, because total freedom means total responsibility.
It means every decision you make, every single thing you do or fail to do, every road you take or avoid is entirely on you. Not God, not fate, not your childhood, not society, not your star sign, you. And most people would genuinely rather die than accept that. Start with this big line: existence precedes essence. Sounds complicated. It's simple. Take a chair. Before the chair existed, somebody had the idea of a chair. 4 legs, a seat, for sitting. The essence, the what it is, came before the thing itself. First the definition, then the object. Now take you. You were born, you exist, but what are you? Nothing. There was no manual attached saying this one is honest, or this one is a coward, or this one is an artist. You just exist. And then, only afterward, through the choices you make, you create your essence. You exist first, and then you decide who you are. Or at least you're supposed to. But here's the problem. Nobody wants that responsibility. It's too heavy. It's so much more comfortable to believe you were just born a certain way, and that's that. I'm shy by nature. I'm bad with money, always have been. I've got a short fuse, it's genetic. Lies. All of it, Sartre would say, lies. You choose to be shy every time you decide not to speak. You choose to be bad with money every time you spend what you don't have. You choose the temper every time you shout instead of breathing. And admitting you are actively building the person you keep complaining about, that hurts too much. So you invent excuses. You hide behind labels, diagnoses, stories about your past. Sartre had a name for it: bad faith. Lying to yourself about your own freedom, pretending you have no choice when you do. His famous example is a waiter. He watches a waiter who's just a little too much of a waiter, movements too crisp, too eager, performing the role like he's playing a part. And Sartre says, why? Because the man is hiding behind the function. I'm a waiter, so I have to act like this. No, you don't. You chose to act like this, but I'm a job is so much easier to say than I'm doing this because I need the money and I'm afraid of getting fired. The first one takes the responsibility off you. The second one forces you to look at the trade you're actually making. And look, I'm not judging, I get it. Total responsibility is unbearable. Sartre himself said it. He said man is condemned to be free. Condemned, not blessed, not lucky, condemned. Because you didn't ask to be born, you didn't choose to exist, but now that you do exist, you're forced to choose constantly, every moment with no breaks, and every choice is a verdict on who you are. You can't even escape it by sleeping, because choosing to sleep instead of doing the thing, that's a choice too. It says something. And it goes further than actions, which is the part nobody wants to hear. Sartre said you're responsible for your emotions too. But I don't choose to feel anxious. Don't you? Anxiety is a way of relating to the future. You're looking at the possibilities ahead and choosing to focus on the bad ones. But I can't control it. You could, you just don't want to, because the anxiety, painful as it is, gives you something. It lets you off the hook. As long as you're anxious about changing your life, you don't actually have to change it. The anxiety becomes the excuse for the inertia, and inertia is comfortable. He even said your passions are choices. But I love this person, that's not a choice. It is. You choose to keep loving them every single day. Every time you think of them with warmth, every time you forgive something, every time you put them first. Those are choices. Love isn't a bolt of lightning that hits you once and binds you forever. Love is a long series of decisions. And when you stop choosing the person, it ends. That's all it ever was. It's just far more romantic to say, I can't help it, it's true love, than I wake up every day and actively decide to keep investing in this person. One takes away your control, the other gives it to you. And be honest, guess which one most people prefer? There was a young man during the war who came to Sartre for advice. He was torn, stay and care for his sick mother, or leave and join the resistance and fight. Agonizing. And Sartre listened to the whole thing, and at the end he said, you are free. Choose. And the young man got angry. "But that's exactly why I came to you, to be told what to do." And Sartre said, "If you came to me and not to a priest, you've already chosen. You wanted me to tell you to go and fight. But the choice is yours. It always was. Nobody can carry the weight of it for you. Nobody can decide for you. You choose and you bear it."
And the most brutal piece of all of it, there are no excuses. Ever. A hard childhood, trauma, illness, poverty, all real. All of it matters. All of it makes your life harder, sometimes unbearably harder. But none of it takes away the choice of how you respond. Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz, the single most dehumanizing situation imaginable, and wrote that even there, even in that, people still had a freedom no one could take, the freedom to choose their attitude. Some prisoners turned into animals. Some shared their last bread and helped the weak. Same hell, different choices. Sartre wasn't saying everyone starts from the same place. Obviously not. He was saying it doesn't matter where you start. You always, always have a choice about the next step. And trying to deny that, hiding behind fate or genetics or your circumstances, that's bad faith. That's, in his words, a kind of cowardice. And there's one more turn of the screw, the one he called anguish. Sartre said that when you really fully face your own freedom, you don't feel relief, you feel a kind of vertigo. Not fear of anything specific, dread about everything, about the bare fact that at any given moment you could do literally anything. You're standing on a bridge, nothing physically stops you from climbing over. There's a knife in the kitchen drawer, nothing physically stops you from doing something unthinkable with it. The only thing standing between you and total chaos is you, your own choices, your own integrity. Nothing outside is holding you in place. You are holding you in place every second with nothing but your own will. And most people cannot stand to look at that directly. So they build invisible chains. I couldn't do that, it's not who I am. But Sartre keeps tapping you on the shoulder. You are nothing fixed. There is no essence in there stopping you. You're making yourself, choice by choice. Today you're honest. Tomorrow you could choose to be something else entirely. Only the pattern of your repeated choices creates the thing you call me. And he goes one step further, which is the part that should land heaviest. He says every choice you make is a kind of vote for what a human being should be. Choose honesty, and you're declaring that honesty matters for everyone. Choose to look away, to go along, to follow the order, and you're voting that looking away is acceptable for everyone. Don't tell yourself you're only one person and it doesn't count, because if you can excuse yourself with, "I'm just one person," so can everybody, and then nobody is responsible for anything. And Sartre lived through the Nazi occupation of France. He watched in real time what happens when an entire population decides they were just following orders, just one person each, nothing any of them could do. There is always something you can do, even if the only thing left is to refuse and to accept what refusing costs you. So here's where Sartre leaves you, and it's not gentle. You are completely free, completely responsible, and completely out of excuses. Your life is the sum of your choices. If you don't like it, you chose wrong. And the one piece of good news, the only one, is that you can choose differently. Not tomorrow, now, this second. You could stand up and turn your whole life in a new direction, and nothing is stopping you except you. And if you don't, it's not that you can't, it's that you won't. Because it's easier to keep living in bad faith, playing the victim of your circumstances, than to pick up the pen and admit you're the author. Sartre's question is just, are you going to keep pretending you're not free? Or are you going to take the terrifying thing and own it? All right, take a breath. We're going to step sideways for a minute into something that sounds abstract, but once you see it, you can't stop seeing it in everything, including yourself. Hegel. He was so difficult to read that other philosophers gave up halfway through his books. There's a joke that only 3 people ever fully understood Hegel: Hegel himself, God, and one German professor who later admitted he'd been lying. But here's the thing.
Underneath all the impossible language, he had one idea so simple and so true that once it lands, you'll see it operating everywhere, which is this: everything moves through conflict. And conflict isn't a malfunction, it's the engine. The way it's usually put, and Hegel didn't quite use these exact words, because of course he didn't, he liked to make everything harder, but the shape is thesis, antithesis, synthesis. You start with an idea, a situation, a way things are. That's the thesis. And just by existing, it generates its own opposite, the antithesis. The two collide, and out of that collision, you don't get a winner and a loser, you get something new that takes the truth from both and rises above them, the synthesis. And then, that synthesis becomes the new thesis, which breeds a new antithesis, and on, forever. A spiral. And you, your life, your beliefs, your relationships, you're caught inside that machine, whether you notice it or not. Let me make it concrete, because abstract Hegel is unbearable. Childhood. When you're small, you believe everything your parents say. They're the absolute authority. Thesis. My parents are right about everything. Then you hit your teens, and suddenly you see they're flawed human beings who don't actually have it all figured out. Antithesis. My parents are wrong about everything. You rebel, you fight, you do the opposite of what they say just to prove you're not a child anymore. Conflict. Pain on both sides. And then, if you're lucky, if you're not too stubborn, you reach the synthesis. My parents were right about some things, wrong about others, and I can keep what works and drop what doesn't. You've integrated, you've grown. And that synthesis becomes the thesis for how you raise your own kids, who in time will rebel against you. And around it goes.
You see it? The thesis wasn't all wrong. The antithesis wasn't all right. They were both incomplete. And only through the collision between them did you reach something fuller. Hegel had a word for it, Aufhebung, an untranslatable German word that means at the same time to cancel, to preserve, and to lift up. The synthesis cancels the two sides, but keeps what was true in each and raises the whole thing to a higher level. And it's an everything. Relationships. At the start, pure thesis. This person is perfect. You only see the good. Then the honeymoon ends and the antithesis arrives. This person is unbearable. The quirks you found cute are now grinding on you. Conflict, fighting, you think about leaving. And if it survives, you reach synthesis. This person is complex, has good and bad, and I choose them anyway. Mature love isn't the idealizing, and it isn't the disillusionment. It's the realistic acceptance on the far side of both. The relationships that die usually died stuck in the antithesis. One or both people frozen in, this isn't what I expected, never making it through to the other side. Hegel ran this all the way up to the scale of history. To him, all of human history is dialectical. Absolute monarchy, the king is everything, thesis. Then the Enlightenment and the revolutions. No, the people are everything, total democracy, antithesis. And what emerged? Constitutional democracies that balance state power against individual freedom, synthesis. Which then became a new thesis with its own new antitheses rising right now that'll force some new synthesis we can't even picture yet. History isn't a straight line, it's a spiral. 2 steps forward, 1 back, sideways, up, but always, always moving through conflict. And here's the part nobody likes. Conflict isn't optional. It's not a bug in the system, it is the system. You don't grow without it. You don't reach synthesis without first going through the antithesis. Every time you avoid conflict, keep the peace at any cost, cling to the comfortable thesis, you're choosing stagnation. Think of people sealed in their bubbles, surrounding themselves only with what agrees with them, blocking out every opposing voice. Pure thesis, no antithesis, no synthesis, no growth. They get more and more extreme, more detached from reality, because their ideas are never tested against anything. And when an antithesis finally does break through, an inconvenient fact, a contrary view, they don't synthesize, they collapse, or they double down.
That's why so much argument now goes nowhere. People aren't looking for synthesis, they're trying to annihilate the antithesis and crown their thesis as the final truth. And that never works. It never has. Hegel ran this all the way down into morality too, and that's where the idea gets its real weight. 1,000 years ago, slavery was simply normal, a fact of the world that almost nobody serious thought to question. Thesis: this is the natural order of things. Then, slowly, an antithesis grew, that owning another human being is monstrous and has to end. And the collision was not polite. It was wars, revolts, centuries of blood and argument. And out the far side came the synthesis, abolition, near enough everywhere, the idea now so settled that we can barely imagine the thesis was ever taken for granted at all. That's the dialectic working across centuries. Not clean, not quick, but moving. And there's a warning folded inside it. Don't ever think you've reached the end. There was a man, Fukuyama, who back in the 90s announced the end of history. Liberal democracy had won, he said. That was the final form. Now it was just maintenance. Hegel would have laughed and laughed hard, because there is no final synthesis. There's always a new antithesis already forming, a new contradiction surfacing inside whatever looks most settled. The conflict doesn't stop. History doesn't end. And anyone who tells you we've finally arrived at the perfect, finished system is either a fool or selling you something. Life is a process, not a destination, which is at once freeing and exhausting. Freeing because you can always evolve, exhausting because you will never be finished. There's always another contradiction coming, always more work. Hegel isn't asking you to like that, he's just telling you how it is. Fight the dialectic and you lose. Learn to move with it and you grow. Now, from the man who made everything impossibly complicated to an American who did the opposite, who basically said, enough, stop chasing the perfect truth. Just tell me, does it work? William James.
He had the nerve to say out loud what a lot of people quietly suspected and pretended not to. Absolute truth is an illusion, and in the end, the only thing that matters is whether an idea actually works in your life. And when he dropped that, late in the 1800s, the other philosophers nearly had a fit, because philosophy up to then rested on a sacred assumption. There's a truth out there, objective, eternal, and our job is to find it. And here comes James, a doctor, a psychologist, a philosopher, saying, you know what? If believing in God makes you a better, happier person, then God is true. For you. If not believing works better, then that's true. For you. Truth is whatever has useful consequences in your actual life, and philosophy was never quite the same. This is pragmatism, and it's the most American idea there is. Practical, impatient, obsessed with results. While European philosophers spent decades arguing about how many angels fit on the head of a pin, James just asked, and so what? Does that change anything in anyone's life? No? Then it's noise. Next question. He was sick of philosophy that existed only to let clever people feel clever. He wanted philosophy that did something for real people with real problems. And his core move was sharp. Ideas aren't true or false in themselves. They become true or false depending on the effects they produce. Now careful, because that sounds like cheap relativism, and it isn't. James wasn't saying make up whatever truth you like. He was saying truth is a process, not a frozen state. An idea becomes true when it works, when it helps you deal with reality effectively, and stops being true when it stops working. Take Newton's physics. For centuries, true. It predicted the planets, built the bridges, got us most of the way to the moon. Then Einstein showed Newton was incomplete. Relativity is more accurate. So did Newton stop being true? Not exactly. He still works for 99% of what you'd ever need. You don't need Einstein to build a house. Newton is true enough for the job. Truth for James is a tool, and you use the right tool for the right task. Apply it to your own life. You believe everything happens for a reason, that there's some plan, that your suffering has a purpose. Is that objectively true? Who knows? Probably not, honestly.
But if that belief gets you through the cancer, lets you forgive the betrayal, helps you rebuild after losing everything, then it's pragmatically true. It works. It produces a life you can live. Compare it to someone who believes it's all random and pointless, which might also be objectively true, but if that belief drops them into depression and paralysis, then for them, it's pragmatically false. See the difference? James isn't asking, is this true in some cosmic sense? He's asking, does this idea help you live or not? And there's a dark side, and he knew it. If truth is what works, who decides what works? Hitler found it useful to believe in Aryan superiority. It mobilized a nation. Does that make it true? Obviously not. So pragmatism needs another layer. James would say pragmatic truth isn't just what works for you in the moment, it's what works better over the long run for more people. Ideas built on massive suffering eventually destroy themselves. The ones that build cooperation, that let people actually live together, those persist and spread. Democracy is more pragmatically true than fascism, not because it's written in the sky, but because it produces more stable, livable societies over time. The proof is in what survives. He had a perfect little image for it. You're lost in a forest and you find a path. You don't know if it leads out, but you have to decide. You can stand there forever philosophizing about the path's true nature and origin, or you can walk it and see where it goes. If it saves you, it was true. If it takes you deeper into the woods, it was false. Truth is discovered through action, not contemplation, which flips the whole traditional picture where you're supposed to be certain before you act. Pragmatism says, act, watch what happens, adjust. Truth is what emerges from that loop. And out of that comes maybe his most useful idea, the will to believe. Some things in life you have to believe before the evidence arrives, because the evidence only shows up if you believe first. Relationships are like this. You can't wait for absolute proof that someone loves you before you let yourself be open to them. You have to risk it, trust, throw yourself in, and only through that act of faith do you find out if it was real. Wait for certainty before you trust, and you'll never trust, and you'll never know what could have been.
Bring it down to something close to home. Take relationships. You can believe that jealousy proves love, that checking your partner's phone is fine, that controlling them is normal. And those beliefs might even seem to work in the very short term. They soothe your anxiety for an evening, give you a flicker of control. But run them out over months and years, and they corrode the trust, breed resentment, and kill the very thing they were supposed to protect. So pragmatically, they're false. They don't work where it actually counts. Compare that to believing in openness, in trust, in clean boundaries. Uncomfortable in the short term, it takes nerve, it takes being vulnerable. But over the long run, it builds something real, pragmatically true. And James would push it even into morality, which is where the purists really lose their minds. Is lying always wrong? Always? Even to save a life? Pragmatism asks the harder question. Which lie? In what situation? With what consequences? If you lie to a killer at your door about where your family is hiding and it saves them, then in that moment, the lie is the right thing to do. Full stop. There's no absolute moral rule floating up in the sky. There are principles that usually work that have to stay flexible enough to survive contact with the actual mess of real life. Certainty, even moral certainty, maybe especially moral certainty, is the thing that gets people killed. James connected this to psychology too. He basically founded American psychology. And he saw the self-fulfilling prophecy. Believe you'll fail, and you act defeated, and you fail. Believe you can succeed, and you act with confidence, and your odds go up. The belief changes the result. So which one's truer? The realistic pessimism that dooms you, or the hopeful belief that lifts you? Pragmatism picks the second, because truth isn't a still photograph of reality. Truth is a tool that changes reality. The deepest thing James leaves you with is humility. He lived in an age drunk on certainty, certain religion, certain science, certain morality, and he saw that certainty is the enemy of growth.
Because the moment you're sure you've got the truth, you stop looking, stop questioning, stop evolving. Pragmatism keeps you honest. Your truths today might need revising tomorrow. And that's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing you're crossing unknown country with provisional maps, and the best you can do is correct your course as new things come into view. He wasn't offering you the comfort of certainty, he was offering you the freedom to experiment. And that, in the end, is worth far more than any dogma that promises eternal truth but locks you in a cage to get it. And now we come to the last one. The one who, in a way, this whole walk has been heading toward. Because he took the void that Nietzsche found, and the freedom Sartre described, and the silence Schopenhauer heard, and he asked the simplest, hardest question of all. Camus. He opened his most important book with a line that should honestly be on a billboard. "There is only one truly serious philosophical question," he said, and that is whether to go on living at all. Now, stay with me, this isn't about despair, it's the opposite. What he meant was the most honest question a person can ask. Given that life has no built-in meaning, why keep going? And before you close the tab thinking this is too dark, relax. He answered it. And the answer isn't grim. It's one of the strangest, most beautiful, most useful things anyone ever landed on. The answer is roughly, it's precisely because life has no meaning that it's worth living. And if that makes no sense yet, give it a minute. Camus looked at the universe and saw exactly what Nietzsche saw. No cosmic purpose, no God to fill the gap, no final justice. But he broke hard with Nietzsche's solution, make your own values, become the overman. To Camus, that was still cheating a little, because you're still trying to force meaning onto a universe that does not care. You're still pretending you can fill the void, and you can't, really. The universe is indifferent, completely. You can be a saint or a monster. The stars keep burning, the galaxies keep drifting apart, and one day you die and are forgotten, and eventually even the planet you lived on gets swallowed by the sun. There's no escaping that. None. He had a word for the whole situation, the absurd. And it doesn't mean funny. The absurd is the collision between two things that can't be reconciled. One, human beings need meaning. We crave purpose, answers, order. We can't help it. And two, the universe offers none of it. So you've got a creature desperate for sense dropped into a silent, senseless cosmos. That gap, that contradiction, that's the absurd. It's you screaming for meaning into a sky that will never answer. And the question that falls out of it is, how do you live with that, without going mad and without lying? Camus said there are 3 ways people respond, and 2 of them are cheating. The first is just ending it. If there's no meaning, why continue? And Camus calls this the coward's exit, not cruelly, but firmly. It's surrender. It's letting the absurd win. You looked into the silence and you blinked first. He rejects it completely. The second escape is what he called philosophical suicide. That's when you invent some grand meaning to hide from the absurd. God, destiny, the universe has a plan, it'll all make sense in the end, in the afterlife, somewhere. Anything that lets you stop facing the silence. And to Camus, that's a kind of intellectual death. You've killed your ability to see things as they are. You've drugged the ache with a comforting story.
And then there's the third response, the one he actually wanted: revolt. Not revolt with weapons, revolt in the sense of looking the absurd dead in the eye, admitting it's real, and refusing to escape it. You don't kill yourself, you don't invent a god, you just keep going. You embrace the lack of meaning, and you live anyway, fully, fiercely, in permanent rebellion against the silence. You don't accept the absurd quietly. That would be resignation. You defy it. Every day, every act. You say, my life doesn't matter to the universe. Fine, I'll live as if it does. It's an act of cosmic defiance. It's looking up at the indifferent sky and saying, I know you don't care, I'm going to care anyway.
And here's where he brings in Sisyphus, the Greek myth, the man condemned by the gods to roll an enormous boulder up a mountain for all eternity. Every time he nears the top, it rolls back down. He walks down and starts again, forever. Pointless labor, no reward, no end, the very definition of futility. And Camus looks at this and says the strangest thing. We must imagine Sisyphus happy. What? How? Because, and this is the whole turn, Sisyphus is you. The boulder is your life. You wake up, you go to the thing, you come home, you sleep, you do it again. Every project finished spawns another. Every problem solved makes a new one. You never arrive. There's no finish line. Even if you get rich, famous, everything you wanted, you die and it all eventually dissolves. So why keep pushing the rock? Because, Camus says, the meaning was never at the top of the mountain. The meaning is in the pushing. It's in the act, not the result. And there's a moment when Sisyphus walks back down to fetch the rock again, where he's conscious. He could despair. He could curse the gods. But instead, he accepts it. He decides this is his rock, his mountain, his life. And the second he stops wishing it were different, the second he stops waiting for it to end or to pay off and just gives himself to the pushing, the gods lose their power over him. They can't torture a man who has decided the climb is enough. He owns the boulder now. He chose it. And that makes him free. And it changes everything when you bring it home. You hate your job? You're Sisyphus. You can spend every day resenting that you should be elsewhere, that you were cheated, or you can accept that this is the rock you've got right now and find some dignity in pushing it well. You're raising kids and it never ends, diapers, tantrums, homework, teenagers, bills, forever? Sisyphus. You can drown in the lack of control, or you can find the meaning in the small moments, the laugh, the hug. You're trying to stay healthy and there's no finish line, just effort, daily with no medal at the end. Sisyphus. The point isn't reaching some final state of perfection. The point is choosing to push. And there's a piece of this that sounds gentle, but really isn't. Camus was obsessed with the present. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. Because now is the only thing you actually have. He wrote about the absurd man as someone who lives each moment fully without waiting for some later payoff to come along and redeem it. Because there is no later that saves you. There's no afterlife quietly balancing the books, no karma settling the score, no when I retire, then I'll finally start living. You live now, or you don't really live at all. And that's not the dumb version of living in the moment. Do whatever you feel like, burn it all down, consequences be damned. It's the sharp version. It's the keen, almost painful awareness that every moment is unrepeatable, that it's already slipping through your fingers as it happens, and that it is never, ever coming back. So you had better actually be inside it while it's here. And most people aren't. Most people spend the present grinding toward a future, which arrives and turns into another present they spend grinding toward another future, until one day there's no future left to grind toward, and they understand, far too late, that the thing they kept deferring, the now, the ordinary, unremarkable now, was the only thing they ever actually had. Camus is basically saying, stop waiting for life to make sense. Stop hunting for the grand purpose. Stop deferring your happiness until when I get X. Because there is no X, or if there is, the moment you reach it, there's a new X already waiting. Happiness isn't at the destination, it's in the walking. And you choose every second whether the walk is torture or freedom. Sisyphus could have spent eternity in despair. He chose otherwise. He chose to be happy pushing the rock. And if he can, so can you. There's a line of his that holds the whole thing. In the depth of winter, he wrote, I finally learned that within me lay an invincible summer. And he earned that line. He grew up poor,
lost his father in the First World War when he was barely a year old, lost tuberculosis his whole life, lived through the Second War, the occupation, saw the worst the century had to offer. He had every reason to be a nihilist, to give up, to say the world is rotten and not worth it. And he said the opposite. He said, precisely because the world hands us no meaning, we get to make moments of beauty, of connection, of joy. Not in spite of the absurd, because of it. Because if nothing matters cosmically, then everything you choose to make matter personally becomes sacred.
He had these figures he called absurd heroes, people who'd somehow grasped all of this and lived it instead of just thinking it. One was Don Juan, the endless seducer. Camus didn't see him as a sleaze, he saw him as someone who knew fully that love doesn't last, that no single person would ever fill the void, that there was no perfect one waiting at the end, and who instead of giving up on love, multiplied it, lived each passion completely, intensely, with no illusion that it would be forever. He wasn't searching for meaning, he was accumulating life. Another was the actor, who lives 1,000 lives inside one, pours himself into every emotion a human being can feel, and then the curtain comes down and he's nobody again. No monument, no permanence, just the raw experience of having lived many lives fully. And then the artist, which was personal for Camus because he was a writer himself. The artist creates knowing the work will eventually be forgotten. Books burn, paintings rot, songs fall out of memory, and he makes them anyway, because the act of making is enough. There's no immortality in it, no permanence, only the process. You shape something beautiful knowing it will turn to dust, and you do it because for one moment you forced a little order onto the chaos. You made something exist where there had been nothing at all. And when it disappears, so be it. You did your part. That, to Camus, is what a life well lived actually looks like. Not building something permanent. There is nothing permanent. Living intensely. Living a lot rather than living forever. He died at 46 in a car crash. Sudden. Mid-sentence, basically. Projects unfinished in the middle of the story. And in a strange way it fits, because he never believed in endings anyway. He believed in living until you can't. And he did, right up to the last second. He was pushing his rock. And if you ask whether he was happy, the honest answer is, what difference does it make? He lived intensely, awake, in revolt against the silence. And that's the whole of it. So that's where this leaves us. The universe owes you nothing. It offers no meaning, no purpose, no justice, no reward. You will die, you'll be forgotten, and nothing you do will matter cosmically. And you've got two options, really. You can despair at that, or you can laugh. You can see it as a tragedy, or you can see it as the only real freedom there is. Because if nothing matters objectively, then you are free to decide what matters. You're free to push whatever rock you choose. And if you push it with love, with full presence, with a kind of proud defiance against the futility, then you've won. Not against the absurd. The absurd can't be beaten. But you've refused to let it beat you. And that refusal, in the end, is the only victory available to anyone. So let me pull the thread back through all of it before I let you go. Every single one of them, Plato in his cave, Marcus on his throne, Epicurus in his garden, Schopenhauer with his bottomless will, Nietzsche on the edge of the void, Sartre with his unbearable freedom, Hegel with his endless spiral, James with his provisional maps, Camus with his rock, every one of them was standing in front of the same silence, the same fact, that you were dropped into existence with no instructions, no reason handed to you, no voice from the sky. And look at the range of answers. Plato says, most of what you believe is a shadow, and the truth will cost you, but at least you'll be awake. Marcus says, you control almost nothing, so master the one thing you do, yourself. Epicurus says, stop chasing the spike, learn to need little, and you can't be robbed. Schopenhauer says, the wanting is the engine, and it never stops,
so at least see the machine clearly. Nietzsche says, the old meaning is dead, so build your own or be swallowed. Sartre says, you're free completely, and there are no excuses, so choose. Hegel says, stop fearing the conflict is how you grow. James says, quit waiting for the perfect truth, live by what actually works. And Camus says, there is no meaning, so make some and push your rock like you mean it.
They don't all agree. Some of them flatly contradict each other, and that's the point. There's no single answer in here. There's no philosopher who solved it, no idea you can take and be done. What there is a set of tools, different lenses for different days. Some mornings you need the Stoic, control what you can, drop the rest. Some nights you need Camus, push the rock, love the climb. And the having of them, the turning of them over in your mind while you go about your ordinary day, that's not going to make you happy exactly. None of them promise that. But it might make you awake. And awake, it turns out, is the rarest thing there is. And notice what that means for how you actually use them. You don't pick one and convert to it like a religion. That's not how any of this works. They're more like clothes for different weather, tools for different seasons of a life. There are weeks when the only thing that'll keep you upright is the Stoic. Control what you can, release the rest, just get through the day. There are nights when only Camus will do. There's no point coming, so push the rock and learn to love the pushing. There are seasons when you need Nietzsche to light a fire under a life that's gone soft and comfortable, and seasons when you need Epicurus to talk you down off the treadmill and back to a piece of bread and one good conversation. And here's the honest part, the part I'm not going to dress up for you. None of them fully works, not one. Every single thinker we just walked through found something true and missed something else. That's not a flaw in the philosophy, it's the nature of the thing. The world is simply too big to fit inside any one idea. So you don't walk away from this with a final answer. You walk away with a toolkit, and slowly, over a life, the judgment to know which tool the day in front of you is actually asking for. Which is, when you really think about it, the most that any of them could have honestly given you. So, that's the walk. Keep these somewhere in the back of your mind while you work, while you study, while you push whatever rock is yours this week. And if one of them got under your skin, if one of them said the thing you've been quietly thinking and never had words for, tell me which one down in the comments. I genuinely want to know which of these you live by, because that answer says more about you than almost anything else could.